All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are starting a new project today, and it is a doozy. We are getting our 8430 back up and going. Now you can see this tractor is sitting here split at the moment with the top shaft removed of the transmission. The synchronizers went bad on this, which is a series of discs, friction discs that is your low and high gear. Deere does not stock the parts for the synchronizers anymore, and so they were searching around through Abilene and a few other sources, and we were looking through some other sources. We personally could not find them anywhere, but Deere says they found them at Abilene. Abilene wanted $7,000 for the parts, and then it was going to cost us more on top of that for Deere to go through and remove them from the shaft and press on the new bearings and new discs and all that. We opted out of that. We have an 8630 sitting outside the door here that has engine problems at the moment, and pretty major engine problems. So we are going to pull the transmission off of that tractor and put it on this one. And so the plan is we have to pull the wheels and the final drives, which are these big things right here. You take all these bolts out and they come right off. We got to pull both of them off on both sides, and then take this transmission out of the barn here, and then we have to tear the other one down to exactly where we are now and do the same thing. Wheels and final drives come off, and then that transmission will come in here and then bolt onto the tractor, and then we have to put these final drives on the new transmission, because that's the only difference between the 8430 and the 8630 is they have different final drives. So these final drives will come back on, which is good because they will already have the stuff for the wheels and duals and everything, so we don't have to go messing with that. Tractor looks funny sitting there without a rear end, doesn't it? That transmission's outside the barn. There's a lean-to on this barn. It's down at the end on a pallet so that it can come right back up as soon as we have this one tore down and be bolted back up to the back of this one. We're not going to go crazy putting a bunch of stuff back on this one. We'll probably leave the SCV stack off and the front transmission cover. We'll basically just bolt the old transmission back on this and probably put the final drives on. We might not even put the wheels back on because we do want to keep them. They're the same size as our combine, I believe, so we want to keep a spare tire around. The 9500, the old combine, has a tire that needs to be replaced, so we need at least one, and we'll want to keep two if we want to have a spare for the new combine. But I'm gonna run inside because I gotta order those final drive gaskets, the front transmission gasket and both top transmission gaskets, so that they'll be here in time, because I think I'll be able to have this thing completely tore down by the end of tomorrow, and then we'll be able to move it in and get it ready to set, but we can't set it until we have gaskets, obviously. So I'm gonna run inside, order that stuff, and then we'll come back out and get this truck moved out of the way and then start tearing this one down. This one will be tackled a little bit different. The other one was taken apart with the intent to put back together. So, but this one, in order to make it easier, we'll take the wheels and final drives off first. Well, we gotta take these fenders off, but wheels and final drives, and then we will tackle the SCV stack, all the cables, all the hoses, all the lines, all that stuff. And then after that, it's just like 8 or 10 bolts and the transmission pulls away. and it should be quite a bit easier to take it off since we can just use a skid loader to pull it back. Gonna be pretty hard to see in the dark here, but we got both wheels off. Just got the I'm taking them off at the wedges, making it easy. So tomorrow we can start tearing this puppy down. Everything should be easy from here on out. Planetary should be able to come off easily within 30 minutes, both of them. And then we'll have to pull the 3-point arms and then pull the SCV stack. Our first big checkpoint for the day has been reached. We got both of the planetary final drives off. Final drive planetaries, final drives, planetaries, whatever you call them. Just doing some little bit of inspecting on what I can see here. Everything looks to be in good condition. I don't know if I can replace these pads or if I should or need to, changing the transmission or using these transmission and these pads in the other tractor. I'd imagine it's gonna be fine. The side that we've never messed with before had a shot pad on the inside. You can see that brake pad's gone. These ones I think are replaceable. I don't know if they're just magnetized or riveted or what, but I think they're replaceable. Let's slide this one back and see if I can see the underside. I don't know. Oh, they got bolts on the back. So obviously these components aren't going back in, so I don't have to worry about those ones being in good condition. But I have no idea if you can replace these or not. Me and Dad will probably talk about it when he gets here. But now we're going through and we gotta start taking lines and cables off, specifically these SCV cables. We got 1, 2, 1 on the other side. We got this 3-point hitch cable that we gotta take off, this 3-point hitch cable, and then we can kind of wait a minute on the shifter cables. We gotta take this line off. We gotta take this line off. And there's these 2 lines down here we gotta take off. So I may run into town now because we don't have any brake or engine degreaser and pick some up because this is quite a mess here. Pick some of that up, degrease this and get it cleaned up a little bit so I can see what I'm working on and then go from there. On this side we have to take that one can wait. We gotta take this line off and we have to take this line off. Those 2 aren't terrible. I don't even know if that one threads in down there. I think that one just pushes in with an O-ring. I might be wrong. So those 2 aren't bad. The little one's not terrible to get off. And I gotta save them because, well, I have this line. I might not have this line. I know I don't have this line. Well, yeah, I don't think I have this line. And I know I don't have this line. The rest of them, I think, are alright, but everything I just did is really not that noticeable from a time lapse from over there. If I could get you guys closer, I would, but there's not really a good place. Basically, I got all the hydraulic lines off of this side. All the cables are undone, but I have them over there because they were in the way from me working back in there. These two long rods are unhooked, so the only thing I have to do now is I have to pull the drawbar. I'm gonna go get a piece of plywood or something because I don't want to sit and lay down in this slime. Go get a piece of plywood, just throw it down. There's a bolt under there that reveals the drawbar pin. That'll drop out, the drawbar will come out. And then I got a bolt here, and I think it's just, yeah, two bolt there and a bolt on the other side for this drawbar support. On the other one, we took it off. This one, I'm gonna leave it on because I think it's gonna act as a stand once I get it in the shop, so I can set it down and it'll keep the transmission from tipping over. And then I just gotta take the bolts out on this SCV stack and take the bolts out on this front cover. This will lift off after that. This will come off and reveal the top bolts to take the transmission out. And once I do that, it is completely apart. At that point, it'll be suspended by the skid steer. We'll pull it out, bring it in the shop. All right, now the drawbar's out. We got jacks under the front end. We got her just lifted up enough to be just off the blocks. You can see it wiggling around a little bit there. So that means when we go to unhook the transmission from the front, it's not gonna be downward pressure in the middle. So I just gotta do those two bolts underneath like I was talking before. And then we'll get the skid steer over here and on top and pull this SCV stack and pull that front cover off, and then hopefully we'll have this transmission off within the hour. Now that tractor's sitting there transmissionless, that whole leaving that bottom cradle on didn't exactly pan out because there's actually two more bolts down there that I couldn't see, and I can't get a breaker bar on them, and my impact wouldn't zip them. So we ended up taking the four that go vertical, and so we ended up just setting the transmission on a block in here. But not terrible. I don't know what happened. In the last 45 minutes, my energy and everything about crashed. I'm just burnt now, but it's out. It's in the shop. We get to work, got to clean all the surfaces up, the take gaskets. This gasket's still okay, but I have one ordered, so we might as well peel that off and prep that surface, prep the planetaries. The one gasket on this side actually made it through the process. Get my light out. That gasket is actually still good, but peel it off. It's been all silicone, so somebody took that planetary off in the past. We're gonna look. Dad thought that this piece looked bigger. That's the piece I showed you guys, or I don't know if I showed you guys in that box. That's the piece that was wearing out on ours and ended up taking both synchronizers out. There's your low gear and your high gear, or vice versa, whatever. But that moves back and forth and compresses those discs and causes friction. But I don't think it's bigger. Ours is right here, so, or our other one is right here, I should say. Let me see. Probably could tell by just looking at the numbers, but I guess it was an update is what they were calling it. The 8 disc to the 10 disc. So, nah, it's the same. But anyway, I think that's gonna be it for today, honestly. It's just past 2 o'clock. Fighting those bolts took a little longer than expected, 2:45. I am starving. I've worked right through lunch and then gotta get rested up because it's New Year's Eve and tonight's when all the shenanigans goes down. So I'll see you guys when we're back on this project, hopefully tomorrow. we left this project unattended for a little bit. I've been hauling corn all week, and I finished the contract at the current ethanol plant we're hauling to, and now I'm switching to a new ethanol plant tomorrow. So I should be able to quit hauling earlier in the day. I'm sticking with 2 loads a day. Yesterday I wasn't able to get back here until 4, and I started at 7:30 in the morning. That's 2 loads in that period of time, so it was just ridiculous. But other place should be a lot faster. As you just saw, we got the transmission mounted. Got the front cover on as well, with this line that goes off up here into the torque converter or torque distributor, something like that. So that's as far as we could get with that. I got 1 bolt to put in down there on the corner, and then the transmission is considered mounted. Tomorrow, hopefully when I'm done hauling, me and Dad can start mounting planetaries. We're gonna mount the 2 planetaries and then put the SCV stack or rock shaft, whatever you call it, on. Mainly because in order to get the planetary on the other side, gotta be able to reach over with the skid steer, and once that top piece is on there, I don't think we'll be able to do that. So we'll get the planetaries on tomorrow, get the brakes all in, and then after that the rock shaft will go on. I've been gone a couple days, but there is a little bit of progress to show you now. This morning and most of the afternoon I've been working on stuff that is really tight and you really can't see on camera. But as you can see, the second planetary is now on, and then all the hydraulic lines are on. We're getting the cables set up. We're running into some issues over here. Dad is with this bracket. So Dad ran, I think he's getting E-clips while we're out. We need an E-clip kit for all this stuff because we cannot find the old ones anywhere. I just got the SCV cable installed off the other tractor, so that is what this one is. So I'll take you up there and show you what it looks like in the cab. I had said that one of the shift cables were broke. Well, it turns out it wasn't. This bolt right here had come out, and so the holder that keeps the cable in place was just flopping all over the place and not actually doing its job. And then back in there is where the SCV cables all come through the floor. That is an absolute bear on this tractor because you have to, this light will go dead shortly, but you have to take these 2 bolts out down here. Those, you can't see it. Right there, those 2 at the bottom. There and there. And then there's a bolt back behind here and behind there that runs that way through all of these little cable holders, and they're sandwiched tight together. So I had a there we go. Let me get my phone out. I had a pry bar in between those 2 pieces, prying it apart and then getting those cables in and out. I will tell you, it is really tricky. I cannot explain how I did it, but I did it. I know it's possible, so if anybody else needs to replace them, just know you do not have to take that bolt out that runs long ways like that through them all. You can get a cable in there. It is just really difficult. And then, yeah, so all that's back together. Now on the 40 series, or on the one outside, you just have 2 bolts right in, they go in toward that way. And so you take 1 bolt out, go over, take the second bolt out, and then there's a plate that comes off, and then all the cables are just loose. It is so much easier. I don't understand how they did not come up with something like that on this one, but they didn't. So the other one, I was able to pull the cable in like 30 seconds. Took those 2 bolts out, cable popped loose, popped the E-clip, down through the floor it went. But this one is just absolutely tedious. Now, Dad ran to get oil so that we can fill this thing up with hydraulic oil, start it, check for leaks, and then we'll probably put these back wheels on. And once those back wheels are on and all the cables are hooked up, we can test the transmission, move it back and forth, and then hopefully get this thing out of here. Now, once we do test the transmission, I do have to get battery cables for this, because when it came in here 10 months ago, can't believe I forgot about this, but sometimes you start it and it just clicks, and then you lose power to absolutely everything, all the way up to the main panel that comes from the battery. So that's why I think it needs battery cables. I'm going to get them, see if that makes a difference on that. And then hopefully this tractor will be done and can come out of the shop.
It lives again. It's out of the shop. Transmission donation was a success so far. Nope, ice. Good donor. PTO's working. Success.
So far.
Yeah, so far so good.
Find out when we got full stop.
See what it's doing. Slow the tail. Yeah, that project's ramped up.
Yep. Got this.
Yeah. Got fenders on and everything. Yeah.
Now that it's been outside, ran it around, brought it back in, got the drawbar and the 3-point arms put back on, put the hammer strap on. So we just gotta get it outside, put the fenders on, put the quick attach on, and then For now, this thing is ready to go. We went ahead and changed the fluids. Had a couple of hydraulic leaks. Took some silicone and a patch, put it on that cover. There's a hole in that. And then around this fitting here, there's a drop that goes into the transmission where it drips oil on the gears and stuff. And it leaked before we took the transmission apart. And I had been able to silicone it in the past and close it up. Well, I siliconed it, and then we ended up starting it up because we had to take it out and turn the tractor around so we could get the skid in. And it was leaking really bad. So we pulled all the silicone back off. And what I did was I went and got goop, is what it's called. It's a basically a silicone, but it's a higher adhesive and hardens instead of stays a little squishy. So went around with that and then took some twine and wrapped it in the crack to really pull the goop inside, and then went over top of it. It's all really nice and hard now, and we'll see if she leaks when we go to pull her out here in a second. But other than putting the fenders on, which I'm going to do off camera, that is the end of this project. This tractor is going out, and hopefully it makes it through the spring without having to come back in. Next project coming in is going to be the either the sprayer, or we may bring the 4960 in, drop the fluids in that real quick. I don't know if we have enough oil though. Stay tuned. Got a water pump to do on the Rogator, and then from there on out, tractors are just moving through. 4440, we got to tear the front end down on that and get the hydraulic pump out. That's the other major one, and then after that we get the planter in here, and that's where the fun starts. But with that, thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.